Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic, the all-open forum discussion show here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your returning host, John Campea. It's good to be back. Took a little bit of vacation, went away to Vegas for my birthday weekend. Today's actually my birthday today. But we decided to go off and take some time off over the weekend, so we didn't have an open mic on Friday. We had no shows over the weekend, but we had a great episode of the John Campea Show earlier today. Thanks to all you guys, and thank you for having me back. So this is, of course, a show where all we do is just take the questions you guys send in to me. Now, before I get into the live questions that you guys are sending in to me now, I do have a handful of questions left over from the John Campea Show this morning that I need to get to first, and then we will get to your live questions for those of you guys who are watching live. And if you're not watching live, just sit back, relax, and enjoy as we just talk about movies between friends. All right. With that out of the way, let's get into it here. And we start off with the first question from earlier today. Came to us from Baran Idharan writes, "Happy birthday. Thank you so much. How much credit do you think Kevin Feige deserves for everything that is the MCU? I feel his easygoing nature has been his biggest ally to pull off something this impossible." I don't know if his easygoing nature is necessarily the key thing to it. I mean, I remember talking to James Gunn once, and when it comes to getting into the creative process, Kevin Feige can actually be quite intense, and that's a good thing. So I don't know if it has much to do about his temperament. Maybe it does. Maybe that has everything to do with it. But there's no denying he is the architect of the whole thing. He is the guy steering the ship. He is the guy mapping out where he wants the MCU and all of its individual characters to go. He is the guy who then brings on the filmmakers, makes sure that the filmmakers are on the same page with him, and then lets them loose. Like, he gives them creative freedom, but he gives them a very defined structure. Like, play within these boundaries, and you can do whatever you want within these boundaries, because with staying in these boundaries makes the MCU what I am designing it to be. And it has just worked. He's worked with talented people. He's kept a firm rein on it while giving individual filmmakers a certain degree of creative freedom at the same time. It's been a perfect mixture. And yes, it is more than just Kevin Feige. Make no mistake about it. It is absolutely more than just Kevin Feige. No doubt. However, it's a hell of a lot to do with Kevin Feige. Let's just say that. All right, thanks a lot, man. Christopher writes, "Will Bumblebee talk in the Bumblebee movie?" I have to assume he will. I mean, they even had him starting to talk a little bit in the Transformers movies. Then they backtracked on that a little bit. I'm not really sure. But in the last god-awful Transformers movie, it's like, "Optimus, I am your oldest friend." Like, they did that. I'm sure with his own standalone film, it's going to. Plus, the standalone film happens a number of years ago. Maybe before his voice box got damaged. So I'm going to assume that, and I'm just making an assumption, I don't know this for a fact, so I could be wrong about this, but I am going to believe that they will have Bumblebee talk in his own Bumblebee standalone movie. Hector Rios writes, "Thank God you're back. Went crazy without your show this weekend. Hope you had a great weekend, John." Thank you so much, Hector. And yes, I did. I had a fabulous weekend this weekend. Thanks so much. I missed doing the show too, but it was good to get away for a couple of days. Angel Chang writes, "I feel like the only thing from stopping Black Panther from surpassing Avengers' worldwide record is its foreign market, even with China still coming." I mean, yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. Look, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking China will always be the thing that changes everything. And 90% of the time, it's not. China comes out, makes a little bit of money in China, that's about it. Sometimes China can be a huge influence, but that's rare that it happens. It could happen with Black Panther. It absolutely could happen with Black Panther. But we've seen a number of movies hit China and make like $65 million in China. Okay, so but it's just that there's this weird perception out there that China makes $800 million for all of its films, and that's just not the case. So could it be the case with Black Panther? Yes. If the people in China really get on board with Black Panther, they've got a big enough market base there that it could make a big impression on the overall worldwide box office. But again, we'll have to see. It's not an automatic by any stretch of the imagination. Mike Thompson writes, "No question today, just happy birthday, kind sir." Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it. I've been getting some great birthday wishes today, so thank you to everybody who's been doing that. Christopher Benson writes, "Where is Justin Long? Haven't seen him in a while. Thought he would have been a bigger star than he is. His spot in Zack and Miri Make a Porno was effing hilarious." I love Justin Long. I love Justin Long. I had the privilege of even interviewing him on one of my earlier renditions of an AMC show I did. And the dude is just great. But I remember twice in my career, I have made a prediction that this guy is going to be a major star. Once was with James Franco. When we saw James Franco in the first Spider-Man movie, I saw him in that. I said, just saw the gifts. I said, this guy, you don't know his name right now. He is going to be a big, big major star. Right about that one. I said the same thing about Justin Long, and I still believe Justin Long should be a big major star. I love Justin Long. He's got this persona about him. He did a number of episodes of New Girl as well. He was really good in New Girl. But I don't know. He's just either he doesn't want to do all that much work right now, or he's just not getting the parts at this point. I think the dude is a gem, and I would love to see Justin Long get more spots in a lot more films, because I just believe the movie-going experience is better with Justin Long in it. Ali Hussein writes, do you think that if Aquaman and Shazam and Wonder Woman 2 becomes a big success, people will have, that people are going to have hope for the DCU, or is it too late? Well, like, here's the thing, Ali. I mean, I'm everybody, okay, yeah, but John, if this movie and this movie and this movie and this movie and this movie are all big, huge successes, but four out of their five have not been successes. I mean, what's the point in even speculating? Okay, but if this one's a huge success, and this one's a huge success, and this one's a huge success, and that one's a huge success, will then people have faith back in the DCU? Well, that's an awful long streak you need. And people are asking me that all the time on Twitter, on Facebook, all over the place. They're just constantly asking, like, okay, but what if the next 17 DCU movies are amazing? Is that what it's going to take now? Is that where we're at? We're at the point now that the DCU is so lost that we have to talk in terms of, no longer is it about talking in terms of, what if their next movie is good? Now it's a matter of we all realize they need like 4 or 5 in a row to be good. That's why I believe they need to reboot. I just really believe they need to reboot. They're not going to. They're too stubborn, apparently, to reboot. But I mean so the question about, yeah, but if the next 17 movies are big, is then everything okay? Yeah, that's a huge assumption. That's a huge thing to even speculate on, considering 4 out of their 5 have failed to, win over the box office fans and critics. Only one of their films have done that, and that was Wonder Woman. They did a really good job on that. I like all the other ones, but it doesn't matter that I like them. The fact of the matter is they have not won over the box office critics and fans. And, I mean, that's just what it is. So I'm not even going to speculate about what if the next 8 are big hits. I'm not even going to speculate about it. It's just too far out there of a question. The Popcornator writes, with Spider-Man Homecoming owned by Sony, will Marvel strike a deal with them to include it in a Phase 3 box set? If no, will they release one at all? I doubt it. I mean, it's possible, I suppose. Look, the home video release market is not as big of a moneymaker as people think it is. So there might be some wiggle room there for Sony to say, hey, yeah, tell you what, give us 23% of whatever units those sell, and sure, you can include it in. So, yeah, because remember, the rights, the distribution rights, that includes home video and everything, are Sony's. Spider-Man Homecoming is technically a Sony movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that, but I'm not anticipating a big box set collection. I don't think that's the way they're going to go with it, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Joshua Ramirez writes, got a new home theater/TV setup today. What movie should I play to pop the cherry? Was thinking Batman vs. Superman just because the soundtrack is so damn good. Also, who wins McKellen's Magneto versus Fassbender's Magneto? Well, I'll take the first question. And I would say, if you got a brand new home theater system, I would go Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Because you're talking about a movie that, number one, won the Academy Award for Best Picture of the Year, won the Academy Awards for Best Sound Editing, Sound Mixing, so if you got that new home theater system, you're going to love it, and has wildly incredible landscapes and visual effects that if your new home theater system includes a new television, you're going to reap the benefits of that. So I would say, if you want to break in the new system, go with Lord of the Rings Return of the King, because you're getting the best, and the best when it comes to filmmaking. So I'd give that one a shot and see how that plays on your system. Certainly not a mistake, though, if you want to go BVS. That one's for sure. Eli the Creative writes, will Warner Brothers Easter egg DC characters in Shazam, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman? No idea. I have a feeling they won't. I mean, honestly, I don't care. Cameo spots can be cute, but they're nothing more than that, so I really don't care if they cameo anything in them. But I have a feeling they're not going to. I have a feeling Shazam is just going to be Shazam, and I don't know if there's going to be a lot of references to the other heroes in the universe, because maybe they'll use Shazam as a reboot tool. I mean, I don't know that. I'm hoping beyond hope with my fingers crossed, but I'm going to guess no. Just a wild guess no, but really the answer is it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant if they do. But I'm going to guess no at this point. It leaves them some more flexibility if they don't. If they don't cameo those characters in those movies, it gives them some more creative flexibility later. So, but then again, I'm just speculating here. Let's see. That was Eli. Matthew Leach writes, do you ever read scripts for movies and read scenes that happen or play out differently in the script, but don't in the movie? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. That happens with every movie. Every movie will have a ton of it that, gets interpreted a certain way. Because look, when you read a script, you have it play out in your head. Like your head kind of manifests it. You're reading the concept of the page, but you're just reading letters on a page. It's your mind, it's your imagination that's piecing the scene together. And I'm sure there's a lot of movies where the director reads it and one picture pops up in his head, and, somebody else reads it and the picture manifests in a different way. And so there's lots of times I've read scripts before I've seen the movie, and the movie plays out quite differently, or looks and is kind of assembled and is interpreted quite differently than the way I thought of it and imagined it in my head. And that's a good thing. So sometimes it's a bad thing, but a lot of times that's a good thing. So yeah, absolutely that happens, but that's wise, because our imaginations will put these pictures together in a different way than another person's head will put the pictures together, especially if that person is the director of the film. So yes, that has happened to me an awful lot. Okay, last question from this morning, and then we'll get over to the live questions. The last question from this morning is, when do you think the first Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of, I can't remember what his name is, trailer will be released? Harry Potter is still a big moneymaker for Warner Brothers, and the last one made big at the box. Yeah, the last one did well at the box office. I wouldn't say did big at the box office, not in Harry Potter universe terms. Big at the box office in Harry Potter universe terms is $1 billion. So for Harry Potter, I would say it did well. It did well. Fantastic Beasts did well. I liked Fantastic Beasts. I didn't love it. I thought it could have been better, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. This one, the crimes of I can't remember what the dude's name. I don't care. I don't care when the trailer drops. I don't know. No idea. They could release it 6 months in advance. They could release it 1 week before release. Honestly, that's what it comes down to. I don't feel any need to rush out a trailer right now. Any trailer that gets released right now is going to get caught up and lost in all the Black Panther and then Avengers Infinity War stuff. Not to mention, we've got Deadpool and Solo coming. If anything, maybe you'll see it release closer to that, but it might be a little while. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and find out. But it's still far enough away that I don't think it's really that pressing of an issue at the moment, per se. All right. With that out of the way, let's move on now to the live questions. You guys have been firing in some live questions. If there's still time near the end of the show, we still got 45 minutes. If there's still time near the end of the show, I will go over to Twitter as well and take some questions from you guys on Twitter. So let's jump into the live questions you guys have been sending in. And we start off with Ben Rayner. Will Spider-Man 2 be a smaller movie like First Homecoming? Hope so. I like smaller MCU movies. Well, Ben, it all depends on how you're defining smaller, because that's a big budget movie. That was a big movie. Now, it wasn't big as in the world is at stake. It wasn't big as in the stakes. Like, they weren't fighting to save the universe from it. He was just trying to save, his neighborhood and from these weapons getting out on the street. And he gets caught up in this thing with Vulture and trying to impress Tony. If we're talking in terms of stakes, yeah, I love that. I do, because you can't have, we've talked about this before, you can't have every movie be about saving the galaxy. We just get tired of that. Every once in a while, you got to gear down and then do a movie like Ant-Man, where a guy's just trying to stop this suit from getting out there and just trying to protect his family. Great. Then you got to get a movie like Spider-Man Homecoming. That isn't trying to stop the world from exploding. It's smaller stakes, but it's nonetheless as dramatic and compelling. So as Marvel, as a cinematic universe, I think they have to constantly be going back and forth in their gears. Something with bigger stakes, something with more stakes closer to home. Something with bigger stakes, something with stakes closer to home. So they got to keep changing those gears up to keep the material feeling fresh. Because if it's just save the galaxy, and then the next movie is, once again, they're called upon to save the galaxy, and then the next again, once again, a hero is called upon to save the galaxy. Eventually, you get a little tired of it. Got to keep changing up. Change levels, as we say in mixed martial arts. You got to change levels now and again, and I hope they continue to do that. But we'll see. I mean, really, we have no idea what they're going to be doing with the next Spider-Man until we see Infinity War and kind of get an idea about which direction the whole MCU is going. But I certainly agree with you. I like it when they change levels. Okay, let's move on. Next one comes to us from Ven Sensei, who writes, we almost lost Kevin Smith. That's crazy. Yeah, I read about that this morning. We talked about it on the John Campea show this morning. Absolutely crazy. Not completely unexpected. I mean, Kevin Smith has been losing a lot of weight, but he has... I think Kevin would be the first one to tell you he doesn't live the healthiest. He spent a large chunks of his life not living the healthiest. But look, it can happen to anybody. I had my heart attacks coming out of a Muay Thai class with James, the UFC fighter, James Sandman Irvin. I had just finished doing Muay Thai with James Sandman Irvin, came out of that, blah, 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 boom, heart attack. Then boom, second heart attack. All right there, all within about an hour of each other. So it can happen to anybody. And it is crazy we almost lost him today. Thankfully, they got him to the hospital. The doctors there were able to save him. And now they can fix the problem. And hopefully he'll be back on his feet and doing his thing really soon. Adam Griffin writes, Ready Player One, over under 55 million domestic opening weekend. Ooh, 55 million is a good number. I might have actually said that number myself at one point. Let's see. 55 million. I'll take the... 55 million. I want to take a push on 55. Okay, I'll take the under. I'm going to guess somewhere in the 50, 51, $52 million range. So I'll go the under. Hopefully I'm dead wrong and it ends up making like $80 million opening weekend. I'm very excited about Ready Player One, but I'll take the under on 55 for now. For now, I'll take the under. Han Solo writes, did you heat? I think you mean here. Did you hear about the backlash Chris Pratt is getting because he said he was praying for Kevin Smith? It's quite ridiculous. Yeah, it is ridiculous, and I did read about that. But I understand right now we have this culture that, look, sending somebody thoughts and prayers is a good thing, right? But we have a culture, we constantly hear these phrases being used now by politicians after kids get shot. Thoughts and prayers. And people are sick and tired of the phrase when you say thoughts and prayers but don't back it up with action and you do nothing about it. Then saying thoughts and prayers is irrelevant. This is particularly true coming from politicians. Don't say you're sending thoughts and prayers if you're not going to do anything to fix the problem. And you're going to just protect those who cause the problems. But at any rate. And I think there was just instant back. So I think people are very itchy. I mean, it is to use the phrase literally here, literally in a figurative term, okay? Figure that out. But it is a trigger issue right now. It is a trigger statement for people because we're very sensitive about that right now. We're sick and tired of people saying thoughts and prayers without ever doing anything. So Chris Pratt says that, and it triggers some backlash. James Gunn put out a follow-up tweet saying, look, I don't think people understand like what Chris is saying. Like, Chris isn't a doctor. He can go there and fix Kevin Smith's heart himself. I mean, he's just selling well wishes, and well wishes is a good thing. So yeah, it is unfortunate that people overreact to that, but especially when it's just meant as a really nice gesture from Chris Pratt to a guy that he's a fan of. So yeah, it is unfortunate that people turn negative on that really fast. Fox Mulder writes, hear the rumor about The Last Jedi novel. The Last Jedi novel says Luke was married. No, didn't hear. And I wouldn't believe that at all. If I read that, I would instantly dismiss it. I mean, who knows? Anything's possible. But again, if it's canon, anyway, I'll get that later. Chris Parker writes, Batman and Supes are arguably the world's most famous heroes, but with success and dominance of the MCU, do you think we might see shift in coming decades? Yeah, that's definitely possible, for sure. I agree with you. Batman and Superman are the 1 and 1A of superheroes to me. That's it. It's Batman and it's Superman. Those are, when I think superhero, I think of Batman and I think of Superman. Certainly there are other great superheroes that I love, but when I think superhero, I think Superman and Batman. That's superheroes. That's the apex model of what superheroes are. Batman and Superman. There you go. The fact that they are not being done justice, no pun intended, the fact that they are not enjoying that success on screen as other smaller heroes is unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And now that, the movie medium is far more popular than the comic book medium, if this stays like this, yeah, we could be talking like 5 years from now. That kids, when other kids think of superheroes, they ain't going to think of Batman and Superman. They're going to think of instantly Captain. And there are certainly kids out there already today who instantly think of Captain America or Spider-Man or Iron Man. Surely there are, yes. But I'm saying, like, just 5 or 6, 7 years from now, that could be every kid. Because, me growing up, you thought of a superhero, it's Batman, Superman, and all my friends were the same. We thought of Batman and Superman. A little Spider-Man thrown in here and there, sure. But for the most part, it was Batman and Superman. That's going to change if one studio continues to do really exceedingly well and one studio continues to stumble and won't get out of their own way and stubbornly refuses to reboot and just keeps going with something that hasn't been working for them already. And then we could be in a situation. I hope it doesn't happen, because to me, it's Batman and Superman. Chris Martin writes, favorite place to go out and eat? I've got a lot of, that's one of the great things about living in Burbank, is there are so many great places to eat. It's amazing. I really like Yard House. It's not like my favorite restaurant, but like favorite place, just go out with a couple friends and eat. I love Yard House. Big fan of that. Wood Ranch is really good. Chili's. I'm a big fan of Chili's. So yeah, just a couple friends together, go out, eat somewhere. Those are the ones that usually come to mind for me. Amin writes, Ray Liotta to guest star on Simpsons as Moe's dad. Well, I mean, the Simpsons over the years have had tons of celebrity guest voices. Tons of them. But that's a good one. Actually, I could be wrong about this. I've got it in my head that Ray Liotta has guested on The Simpsons before already. I might be wrong about that, but for some reason that's itching in the back of my head that he's already done a voice on The Simpsons once. Could be dead wrong about that. Mason Barr writes, happy birthday, man. Glad you enjoyed your trip. Thank you so much, Mason. I appreciate that. Eric DeRigi writes, do you think it's possible to secretly have the Masters of Evil show up in Infinity War or Avengers 4? Think of all the villains that were killed by Infinity Stones in the movies. Is it possible? Yes. Yeah, it's possible. Likely? No. I think it's actually, I think it would be pretty damn unlikely at this point, really. Look, not only does the movie already have an abundance of characters in it, like a way oversaturation. I'll be honest with you, I am worried for Avengers Infinity War. A little bit. I mean, I'm super excited about it, but I'm a little bit worried at the same time because of the sheer number of characters. And I'm the one who usually goes, don't worry about it. Every movie has lots of characters, just that this movie has characters' names that you recognize, whereas most other movies are characters' names you don't recognize, so it's not big. But even I'm really worried. I'm not really worried, but I'm concerned. I'm a little concerned and apprehensive a bit in that, a 2-hour and 20-minute movie or whatever with like 40 lead characters that would be lead characters in their own movies, not to mention the number of villains that Thanos is bringing along with him. Anyway, with all that put into consideration, I really think the likelihood of that then, Eric, becomes even smaller. So it's possible, yes. It's also possible that the Joker could show up in Avengers 4 and be a big bad guy. But it's tough. It's tough heading in that direction and seeing once we get there. But let's get through Infinity War first and see where we end up. All right, Junkari writes, Circus doing Star Wars Episode 9. Is this meaning Snoke is alive? By the way, I haven't heard anything official that Circus is doing 9. I haven't heard anything official about that at all, as a matter of fact. So I would not guess so. And besides, he's a motion capture. He could be any character. Andy Serkis could do any character. So even if he does come back, and I haven't heard anything official that said he is, but even if he does, it doesn't necessarily mean Snoke. I'm pretty sure Snoke's gone. Snoke is dead. Andy Hernandez writes, a friend of mine was telling me Black Panther wasn't the first black superhero. Blade was. Your thoughts? Well, I mean, of course, yes. But I'm always very careful when I talk about Black Panther. Black Panther is the first non-white dude lead superhero movie in the modern comic book age, in the new cinematic universe comic book age. He's the first one. Now, in previous eras of comic book movies, sure, there was Black Panther, yes. Shaquille O'Neal did Steel, for heaven's sakes. There was that. Halle Berry did Catwoman. Ugh. So yes, there have been superhero movies in the past that have had black, non-white dude leads. Yes, but in this new era, in this era where comic books are the single most successful, single biggest movie genre in all of cinema, in this post, X-Men, Iron Man kind of world, it's really is the first one. It's the first one of this era. It's the first one since comic book movies mean as much as they do now. Because ever since this new cinematic universe era of comic book films started, we haven't had a black lead. We haven't had anything but a pasty white-skinned dude lead until Wonder Woman came along and until Black Panther came along. So that's why I'm always very, very cautious. I swear to God, you would be shocked how much time whenever I had to talk about Black Panther, and I was very careful to say, this is the first black hero in the modern comic book era, blah, 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 blah. How much time I have to spend in my own comment section afterwards by people going, John, you forgot about Blade. And I'd have to just copy and paste. What part of modern comic book era did you not understand? And I had to just copy and paste that. I have probably had to paste that in 1,000 times. So I would just say to your friend, well, yes, that's true. There was Black Dynamite. I love Black Dynamite. There was Catwoman. Yes, there have been other movies in different eras before. And granted, Blade wasn't that long ago, but it was a different era of comic book movies compared to the new era that we're in now. And this was the first one. So that's how I usually correct people when they kind of bring up Blade or Catwoman or anything else like that. Angel Chang writes, I don't know if you like Studio Ghibli movies. Of course I do. Spirited Away is my favorite. But we're getting Hayao Miyazaki's last movie this year. Thoughts on Studio Ghibli? Well, I mean, Studio Ghibli has constantly... Look, some of their movies aren't so great. Okay, I know that's sacrilegious to say, but it's true. Some of them aren't so great. But a lot of them are really great. And that's just the case. As far as Miyazaki's final film goes, I'll believe it when I see it. We've heard that from Miyazaki before. And he's suggested before other projects would be his last. And yet he made more. So I'll believe it when I see it. Let's just put it that way. I mean, if he does make one more and it is truly his last one, then we got to treasure it. But I'll believe it when I see it. Dakota Barber writes, happy birthday, John. Thank you so much, Dakota. Hope it's been a great one. What's your favorite Hugh Jackman performance? Mine is tie between Logan and Prisoners. Both films are so great and emotional. Keep up the great work. Well, Logan was definitely one of his best. Prisoners is an underrated and I think more undervalued because so many people never saw Prisoners. It's so good. But to me, my favorite performance is not necessarily the best movie he's been in, but it's a great movie, is Les Mis. Him playing Jean Valjean, prisoner 42601. Yes, I even remember the number of the prisoner number that he had. 42601. It's actually in one of the songs, so that's probably why I remember it. But his performance as Jean Valjean in Les Mis was amazing. He got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor for that. He probably should have won, to be honest. But yeah, I'll say my favorite is absolutely him playing that character, which is just amazing. Hugh Jackman, I have now come to believe over the past number of months, Hugh Jackman is the greatest entertainer in the world. I just believe he is the single greatest entertainer in the world. Nobody can do what he does as good as he does it. He can sing like a baller. He can dance with the best of them. He can play a superhero character, a devastated father in Prisoners, a musical piece from a period piece in a classic stage performance like Les Mis. He can do Broadway and Hollywood. He can do it all. No one comes close to him. And I really became so aware of that watching him in The Greatest Showman. It's like, this is the best. He's not necessarily the best actor in the world. He's not necessarily the best singer in the world. He's not necessarily the best dancer in the world. But nobody can get all three of those to such a high level as he does. I don't know that there's ever been. I think we better start appreciating. I mean, we all love Hugh Jackman, but I think we better start appreciating just what a treasure we have in Hugh Jackman. It's just crazy how talented that dude is. It's just nuts. Eric writes, why are people upset Yoda ghost touched Luke? In Empire, Obi-Wan ghost swatted away some vines to sit down. Clearly these ghosts have been able to touch physical stuff since Empire. And that's been a running gag. Forget brushed vines away to sit down. Obi-Wan sat on a log. That implies physical force being able to sit on a log. Like, how does a ghost sit on a log? Well, Obi-Wan did it. That implies that the Force ghost can manifest to some physicality if they need to. I don't understand it. I never have. Even as a little kid, I never understood, how does a ghost sit on a tree? What's going on? Why doesn't Obi-Wan just fall through the tree? But you're right. If you're going to have a problem with Yoda given the little whap, then you also have to then explain why you don't have a problem with Obi-Wan sitting on a tree. It's the same physical principle. So I don't understand all the Jedi ghost physics of it, but yeah, you're right. It has always been a thing and people shouldn't be upset by it. Sam Fisher writes, been watching Spartacus, loving it. Thought episodes 2 and 3 were good, but the CGI in the series is awful. Especially is awful. Episode 1 was all CG environments. Have you seen the Andy Whitfield doc? Preferred him really like Liam McIntyre. Well, yeah, Andy... and by the way, I'm impressed that you liked episodes 2 and 3. I thought 1, 2, and 3. 3 is where it started to turn it around. 3 has started to turn it around. And you know what? Forgive me, guys. I'm going to do something here while we're talking. I should have had this right. Well, I didn't know what you were going to ask, so I didn't know how to, to have it ready to go. But here's the thing. I have a friend of mine who is a wonderful girl. Her name is Erin. Let me see. Anyway, Erin, who is this really, it's just a wonderful, wonderful, one of my favorite like women in the world is my friend Erin. She was actually in my movie, The Anniversary. And let me just bring this in here quick, even though it's a small picture. This is Erin. And Erin is great. Let me see if I can find a more up-to-date picture of Erin. Erin's actually a redhead. She's great. Oh, this is a nice picture too. I like this one. This was a picture of Erin from a little TV show that was on, I think it was on ABC. Let me see if I can get that a little bit bigger for you. That was on ABC called like Detroit 187 or something like that. That's still way too small. This is what happens when you do this all on your own. Anyway, that's Erin. Really good friend of mine. She's been in like 8 different TV series. As a matter of fact, she was just on The Blacklist. And also my friend Erin was also just in The Disaster Artist with James Franco. She's in that. She's the waitress that is there when James Franco and Judd Apatow are having the debate. And she's caught in the middle between the two of them. That's my friend Erin. Anyway, she played Spartacus's wife in the series. And I've mentioned this story before. I only watched it at first because Erin was in it. And she was in my movie, The Anniversary. So I only watched it because she was in it. And the first episode is one of the worst episodes of television I've ever seen. And I wanted to give up on the show. Episode 2 was just as bad. Episode 3 started to turn it around. Episode 3 started to turn it around. And then it became one of my all-time favorite shows after that. Just one of my top 3 easy. My top 3 are Battlestar Galactica, in no particular order, Battlestar Galactica, Sons of Anarchy, Spartacus. Spartacus became one of my all-time favorite television shows after that. And absolutely, to me, it's Andy. Andy was Spartacus. Liam McIntyre was a bad choice to play Spartacus. I mean, the show continued to be good, but it was despite the fact that they got... Not that Liam wasn't a good actor. Liam is a good actor. I'm not saying he's not, but he was clearly the wrong choice to play Spartacus. The leader, the ultimate of all these gladiators who look like the wimpiest of the gladiators. But I mean, it goes beyond... He didn't have what Andy had. And I remember when Andy passed away, and it was so sad because he had just been at a party that I had thrown, and like he was in remission and looking good and looking healthy, and we were all excited, even talking about him coming back to Spartacus, and then shortly after that, finding out that he died. I haven't seen the documentary that you're referring to, but yeah, get past episode 3. If you could stomach episodes like 2 and 3, I think you're really going to love the rest of it. So hang in there, Sam. Ben Jesus writes, John, since your wife is also a WWE fan, I as well. WWE was in Vegas last night. Yes, they were. If only y'all could have went to the show, but I know you would only go to WrestleMania. Yeah, I mean, besides, we left Vegas at like 7 in the morning. When I go to Vegas, I actually like to leave Vegas at 7 in the morning because you try to drive out of Vegas towards Los Angeles Sunday morning when there's like 100,000 other people leaving Las Vegas to go to Los Angeles. The traffic can get insane. The latest you should leave is 7 a.m. if you're driving. And it's only about a 3.5 hour drive for us. So that's why a lot of times I'll drive instead of fly. But you got to leave at 7. So we weren't around in the evening. Although I did see the clip of Ronda Rousey slamming Triple H through the table. That was kind of fun to see. Chris Warden writes, had a chance to check out The Expanse yet? No, still haven't had a chance to check that out. It is on my list, but I've still got a number of things in front of it too. It's difficult for me to get through television. Slowly but surely, I will get to it. Gio writes, Tarantino a better writer than director? I don't know. Somebody asked me that question before, actually. I go back and forth on it. He is such a great director, but he is a remarkable writer. I'm going to go writer. I think I might have said writer before too, but I do go back and forth on this. I think, and that's not to cast shade on him as a director. I'm just saying the dude is a phenomenal writer. So I'll go he's an even better writer than he's a director for now. Adamus95 writes, box office prediction for Pacific Rim Uprising. Not great. I don't think it's going to be great. And remember the first one didn't make it barely broke even. The first one barely broke even. I'm going to guess this new one, and I'm not hearing great things about it. I'm going to guess total worldwide $390 million. And hopefully I'm off. Hopefully the movie's really good and it comes in at like $600 million. That would be great. But I'm going to go like 375. I'm going to go like 375 million worldwide is going to be the grand total for Pacific Rim Uprising. Just a guess. Manuel Fernandez writes, hey John, I just saw Scorsese's Hugo today in film class. My God, what a beautifully vibrant experience. What are your thoughts? Oh yeah, I love Hugo. Hugo was great. And it's really neat seeing that you could have Martin Scorsese tell these types of stories. Like not just mobster movies, he can tell, and crime movies, he can tell these types of stories and tell them so well. And the fact that he could even have Borat in the movie as well and use him so great and use him to such a wonderful level is a really good story. The kids were wonderful in it. Hugo's a wonderful film. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't have voted for it to win Best Picture. I believe it was nominated for Best Picture. I didn't think it deserved to win Best Picture that year, but it was a wonderful movie. Really, really enjoyed it. This is another reason why Scorsese is one of the best. All right. Sam Fisher writes, happy birthday, John. We're not worthy. Oh, you are certainly worthy. I'm not worthy to have you guys as viewers. Thank you so much, Sam. Matthew Leach writes, sorry guys, my throat's a little sore. Matthew Leach writes, suggested cutscene movies to review, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy and Horizon Zero Dawn, especially the latter. Yeah, I've had a few people, I just put up the my Red Dead Redemption review, the cutscene movie review. You know, I'm getting so tired of this. John, you should play the game. Yes, I played Red Dead Redemption. These are reviews of this new phenomena of people putting these cutscene movies together online. People are watching them. I'm simply here to tell you if they're worth watching. But John, people should be playing the games. What does that have to do with whether or not people want to watch the YouTube cutscene? That's a totally separate issue. Put it back in your pants, take a deep breath, relax. People will enjoy doing this. People will enjoy doing that. It's okay if not everybody wants to do the same thing. So I'm just here to tell people whether I think it's worth them investing, like say 6 hours in watching the Uncharted 4 cutscene movie. I watch it so I can tell people, and I thought it was great. You don't even have to play the game to enjoy sitting down and watching that movie. You should go out and check out the game, but that's what got me into a number of games is the cutscene movies. So I just roll my eyes now when I see people write, because people think they sound smart and think they sound, I'm hardcore gamer. If I go on there and tell people you shouldn't watch these things, you should just play the game. People think they're so hardcore when really they just make me roll my eyes at them. But look, one of the things that got me, the whole reason I bought the game Injustice Gods Among Us, is because the cutscene movie and the comic book series was so good. That's what made me watch it, or made me play the game, was the fact that I watched this cutscene movie and it was so good that I got into it and I played it. I didn't pick up Last of Us to play it until after I watched the cutscene movie. I watched the cutscene movie like, oh my God, this is wonderful. So I picked up the game and played it. So, if before you start getting all self-righteous and thinking you sound hardcore and badass, because you don't, before you start doing that, start telling people, you shouldn't watch those, you should just play the game, and sound really gamer snobby, because nobody likes gamer snobby. You may think you're looking cool, but really nobody likes you. Before you do that, take a breath, realize different people enjoy different things, and there are different avenues that can lead people to enjoying something. And if these cutscene movies can encourage some people to, first of all, just enjoy the entertainment of it, and then encourage some of those people to want to take the next step forward and picking up the game and giving the game a try, that's great. So I really think you need to stop thinking you're badass and thinking that you're hardcore. Take a deep breath and realize, hey, this could be good for everybody. Take a breath, stop shitting on people for liking what they like, and let's just see if it leads them to a more healthy, thriving gaming environment and entertaining environment. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that. Luke1234 writes, what did the doctor say was the cause of your heart arteries to become clogged when you had your heart attack? The doctor explained to me, because it really confounded him. I was too young. I was in pretty good shape. I had no history of it in my family. I do not drink. I don't do drugs of any kind. So the doctor was kind of perplexed. I remember the first thing the doctor said to me when they got me to the hospital and they ran through all this question, he goes, okay, so it's probably not a heart attack, but we're going to run some tests. And then he comes back and say, yeah, it was a heart attack. So basically the way they explained it to me, if I remember it properly, that, everybody's got some plaque in their artery, but he said the lining of plaque inside the artery, the part of it peeled off and started doing this and clogging up the artery. So they went in, they cleared it out, they put in a stent, and they marked me as good to go after that. So that's what happened to me. Sir English Gent writes, I, Tanya, expanded into my area last weekend and I was begrudgingly taken to see it. Holy shit, it's amazing. Have you seen it? What's your 2 cents? Oh, I loved I, Tanya. I, Tanya was wonderful. It's really fun. Allison Janney is going to, I feel very, very good in saying Allison Janney is going to win Best Supporting Actress. Margot Robbie isn't going to win Best Lead Actress, and she probably doesn't deserve to win, but it's a well-deserved nomination for her to get nominated for Best Lead Actress. It's stunning, it's funny, and it draws you in, and you just follow. You're just eating up this story as it's getting told. I loved I, Tanya. I really thought it was a great film. Jason Robinson writes, are you familiar with any of the black films from the early 90s? Juice, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society. Yeah, I used to watch all of them when I was younger. All of them. The best one of the era, a little bit earlier than that actually, is one that I still recommend to a lot of people to watch, is Colors. If you get a chance, check out Colors. It's the one that kind of, Colors had its own influences, but Colors was the movie that kind of spurred and launched a lot of these other movies that you were mentioning. Colors was the one that those other films took their inspiration from. So if you haven't seen the movie Colors, I highly recommend you go check that one out. Manuel Fernandez writes, what are your thoughts on Spielberg's The Adventures of Tintin? I think it's an incredibly underrated animated film. It's a really good movie. It's a really good movie. And I almost did an editorial about a month ago because I had a bunch of people asking me, where's the Tintin sequel? They kept talking. The plan was Spielberg directs one, Peter Jackson directs the next one, and all that. It was supposed to go back and forth. What happened to it? Where did it go? And I did some research on it, and I was going to do an editorial. Just never got around to it. But yeah, Tintin in and of itself, just as a really good, solid animated movie, loads of fun. It looks beautiful. It's a wonderful story. You get caught up in the adventure of it. It's just really good. More people should check it out. Ben Jesus writes, Also, what's your favorite Filipino dish? Mine is also chicken adobo. And I'm going to admit something to you, Ben Jesus. I am not a big fan of Filipino cuisine. I got to admit, there's a lot of it. When I go to Anne's big family get-togethers, like at her, like at Tito Tony's, and like at Tito Tony and Tito. Anyway, go there and there's this huge Filipino get-together, and they bring out all this food. There's a lot of it I don't touch. I got to admit, but I'm a very vanilla kind of palate sort of guy. But chicken adobo, Anne's dad, before he passed away, made the best chicken adobo. I used to love eating his chicken adobo. He made great stuff. Cobra writes, PR Uprising. I don't know what movie we're talking about. Trailers are giving me Independence Day Resurgence deja vu. They seem really similar to that film's trailers. I am worried. Pacific Rim Uprising. Guys, try not to use acronyms because I'm instantly going through 1,000 different things in my head. I don't know about that. I mean, that's, if you're having those feelings when you're watching the Uprising trailers, okay, I get it. I myself am not getting those particular vibes from it myself. I am worried for the film. Look, I don't think the trailers look all that great. I said that when the first one came out. It's like, okay, it's all right, it's fine. But the Pacific Rim Uprising trailers have never gotten me more excited for the movie. And I don't think it looks all that great. I'm not hearing wonderful things about it. I'm not feeling a lot of buzz from the audience about it either. I am a little bit worried. I'm with you, Koba. I'm a little bit worried for this film and how it's going to turn out. Let's see here. Lost Stefan Gonzalez. And by the way, guys, if you have not sent in a question, no more questions. Please cut off any more super chat questions. I've taken as many as I can. The last one we're going to take is Act Naturally Productions. Act Naturally Productions is going to be the last one that I take. Let's see here. Stephen Gonzalez writes, did you know Tropic Thunder Blu-ray had a full-length mockumentary? For you or my fellow Campeaites, look it up on YouTube. Sergeant Lincoln Orse's PPSD. Robert Downey Jr. is freaking hilarious. More people need to see this. I believe I did know that, and I think I saw it. But I can't remember it now for the life of me. It was forever ago. I think I saw it. But good one, Stefan. Good thing to bring that up to people. There is so much that was great about Tropic Thunder. And it's funny, I keep talking to people who've never seen Tropic Thunder. It's really weird because I feel like Tropic Thunder is one of those movies everybody has watched, but I'm finding out more and more that that's not necessarily true. It's not everybody has watched Tropic Thunder. So yeah, anyway, give it a shot if you haven't seen it yet, and check out the feature that Mr. Gonzalez is pointing out here. Check it out and give it a watch. Thanks for bringing it up, man. Ken Jack writes, do you think Marvel missed a prime chance to promote the Avengers by not having the trailer in front of Black Panther? A lot of new people went to go see it. Well, it's funny, Ken Jack, somebody asked me that same question before. I will answer it the exact same way. No, they didn't miss an opportunity. Because this isn't 1999. People don't watch their trailers for the first time when they see it in front of a movie. We live in the internet era, in the high-speed internet era, when everybody sees these trailers the moment they drop on the internet. They put them out on the internet, people consume them. Far more people watch the trailers online than see them in theaters. There are far more people downloading trailers than going into the movie theaters. So, no, I don't feel that they missed any sort of an opportunity. That trailer, it played on the Super Bowl. It played, and then it dropped everywhere internationally. It didn't need to play in front of Black Panther. Didn't need to play there. So no, I don't think they missed any opportunity whatsoever. Jazathan writes, if DC wants to reboot, you think they don't want to announce it because it might hurt Aquaman, just like they didn't announce Ben Affleck leaving before Justice League? That is a very good argument. See, I've had some people writing to me and saying, hey, John, what if Shazam, which they're shooting right now, doesn't reference anything in the DCEU? What if Shazam is just kind of being done like a standalone movie and they don't reference? There are some rumors that Henry Cavill may show up in it as Superman. That may happen. I don't know that those rumors are true, but it's possible, I suppose. But, some people say to me, what if it makes no reference to anything in the DCU and they're just not wanting to tell people they're rebooting the DCEU? That is the right PR move. You're right about that. Whether that's what they're actually doing, we'll have to wait and see, but you're using sound logic there in thinking that through. That is a distinct possibility. We'll have to wait and see. Matthew Leach writes, if you had to guess the budget for Solo after all the issues that the film endured and the 4-month shoot ended up being 8-month shoot, well, no, it didn't end up being 8 months, but anyway, how much would you guess it to be? I'd say over 200. I'm going to guess right around 300. I think I'm going to guess pretty much the exact same amount that Justice League ended up being, because Justice League ended up being in the $300 million range with all the reshoots it had to do. I think it's probably safe to say that Solo probably is coming in there around the same thing, which means Solo got to get about $700 million to break even. Maybe $600 million, north of probably $650 million. Probably around the same place that Justice League had to make just to break even. Solo's got to make $650 million worldwide just to break even. And don't think that just because the name Star Wars is on it, that's going to be an easy thing. It's not going to be an easy thing. So they're in a little bit of risk here. I mean, look, Solo could come out and make $850 million and everybody's throwing a party. Great. But it is a big number it needs to make. So I'm going to guess it's around the $300 million mark is what it ultimately cost. Adam McKay writes, why is Ava DuVernay hailed as a superstar director when she's generally known for one narrative film? Selma's great, but A Wrinkle in Time could suck. Well, sure. Yeah, it could. But the next Ryan Coogler movie could suck. Here's the thing. When you watch Selma, it's not just a fun movie. It is a movie that is told with a storyteller's touch. And yes, the source material and the basis of the movie is rich and great, yes. But in the hands of somebody who doesn't know how to really unfold a story and tell it in a certain way, it doesn't matter. Ava DuVernay, the way she directed that movie, really heralded to the world, this is somebody who knows how to tell stories, knows how to use their characters, knows how to leverage the dialogue, knows how to use the narrative flow and do it well. It isn't like some comic book movie that was just, wow, that was super fun, because you can just get lucky and have some great visual effects, great action, blah, blah, blah. This was all story, all character, and all narrative. And she crushed it. But look, Steven Spielberg did The Terminal. Everybody has a bad day. Every director's capable of turning out a dud, for sure. Absolutely. Wrinkle in Time could suck. Yes, it could. From what I'm hearing, Disney's thrilled with it, but sure, it could suck. Absolutely. But until something comes out and proves it wrong, you go with what you have. The sample size we basically have is Selma. That's our sample size with Ava DuVernay. And it's fantastic. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt until something comes out that says she's not. So that's kind of the way I go. It's the same thing with Ryan Coogler right now, really. Sarab writes, happy birthday, John. New York idea. I don't know what New York idea. Where is Soulstone? Again, I've had about 5 people in the last 2 weeks ask me, where's a Soulstone? I'll say the exact same thing every time. I have no idea. And to be honest with you, I haven't even wasted any time speculating about it. I'm just going to wait for Infinity War to come out and kind of reveal that. Grant Hernandez writes, Return of the King wasn't nominated for sound editing. Could have been the 12th. Not even a cinematography nomination. Really? I thought it was. I thought it was nominated for sound editing. You're probably right. I'd have to look that up, but I could have swore it won for sound. Because if it didn't win for sound and it won 11, I'd have to look that up. Anyway, thank you for bringing that up, Grant, and bringing that to the forefront. Guru Laghima writes, getting sick of this whole only females can write and direct female character narrative, that same with blacks or whatevers. Chris Priest spoke on, okay, not really sure where you're going with that. But look, here's the thing. I'll take it. Because we have endured decades and decades and decades of studios being unwilling to consider talented female directors for directing their films. Patty Jenkins, you've heard me tell the story before, but it is the great cautionary tale. Patty Jenkins directs a great movie in Monster that gets tons of Oscar buzz. And remember, the number one job of the director is to get the best performance for the movie out of the actor. Because the actor's not the one with the vision for the whole film, it's the director. So the director's got to direct that actor. Listen to Robert De Niro talk about that. It's a great like lesson on the whole thing. Anyway, so Patty Jenkins directs Monster and directs Charlize Theron to winning Best Actress at the Academy Awards. And the movie itself had other, big awards buzz surrounding it. Had Patty Jenkins been a man, there is no arguing around this. Had Patty Jenkins been a man, in the 13 years that followed that, she would have had multiple big film offers. Multiple big film offers. Had a male director directed Monster and got their lead actress a Best Actress win at the Academy Awards and all that kind of stuff, studios would have lined up to give, instead of calling her Patty Jenkins, let's call her Pat Jenkins. Studios, if she had been a dude, studios would have lined up to give Pat Jenkins another big film. Instead, Jenkins got offered nothing. For 13 years, until Wonder Woman came along. And you know what? If we're at a period in time right now that to help us break through this wall of ignorance we've been living in, if we're in a small window of time that women directors are being given the women lead role movies, if that's what it takes to get us to the other side of what we've endured for decades, being deprived as audiences the talents of a ton of other people just because they didn't have dicks or because they didn't have the right skin color and they simply weren't given opportunities on that basis alone, then I'm okay with it for now. Hopefully we're not in that same kind of thing 6 years from now. But if that's what it takes to put Patty Jenkins back on the map for everybody, that it's got to be a woman lead movie, fine. Whatever it takes to get us to where we need to go. And like before we say, I'm getting tired of that. But we've been living in this for what, 2 years? We've had 50 years of discrimination. We've had 50 years of people not even being willing to be looked at because of their gender or whatever. We've had 50 years of that. If we got to live through a window of time for 5 or 6 years to help us all get past that hump and get us to the other side of that, then I'm fine with that. I don't want it to be like this indefinitely. But they ain't giving women directors any of the other movies. So let them showcase and prove to everybody and prove to the studios they've got chops just like male directors do, and they should be giving it a fair shake just like male directors do. And if then we come on the other side of that, then I'm fine with it. John Salvi writes, glad to hear Kevin Smith is okay. He helped save my life in the early 2000s. I suffered depression, and his movies helped me not take life too seriously. That's one of the great things about movies, John. I mean, I love hearing stories like that about the power. I mean, movies are just movies, yes, but we should never underestimate the power that movies have, and the power that they have to do things really positive. So yeah, I'm with you, and I'm so glad to hear that he was okay because, I woke up and I checked my phone, and one of the top tweets was, "Did you hear about Kevin Smith?" And I'm like, oh God, it's either he died or it's some new big controversy. And it was neither. He had had a heart attack, but he survived, which was great. So yeah, it was really great to hear that he pulled through that. All right, Koba. I only got a couple minutes left, so I'm going to get through these as quick as I can. Koba, has Warner Brothers always had problems with DC and directors? They fired Richard Donner and ruined the Batman films by making them more kid-friendly. Well, like even Tim Burton's Batman was kind of a kid-friendly Batman. It was very, very dark in some ways, but very cartoony in other ways. There was something beautiful about the mix that Burton brought to that Batman. But you can't really say that because that was a totally different group of people. The people who were running Warner Brothers at that time, kind of a different lot of people than the people who are in the positions that they're in now at Warner Brothers. So I really wouldn't look at it that way. Plus, you're looking at a very small, finite number of titles. And it wasn't a shared cinematic universe or anything like that. And they were just doing what they thought would make money at the time. Remember, the comic book genre at the time was being botched by everybody. Everybody was botching the comic book genre at the time. It took a while before we got to the place that we are now. Kevin Bennett writes, Kevin Smith's heart attack has me a little freaked out. Now I learn you had a similar experience. What happened and how did you handle it? Well, I already explained what happened. How did I handle it? It freaked me out. I had chest pain. Like if I ever took more than 6 or 7 steps, I started to feel a tightness in my chest. And they told me to expect that because part of the, your heart gets damaged, it's got to heal. And I didn't even exercise My doctors told me after about 2 or 3 months, you're okay to exercise. I mean, don't go nuts. Don't get back into don't get back into MMA right now or anything like that, but exercise. But I was scared. And I went years without doing anything more than just a walk. And, I ballooned up to like 240 pounds, 245 pounds, I think, at my heaviest. And it took me a while. And then I had another really good conversation with my cardiologist who said, John, listen, you're good. Go do whatever you want to do. You are cleared to push yourself as hard as you want to go. Believe me, you're okay. Go. And that's when it kind of turned it around for me. But it's difficult to deal with. It was really hard on my wife. Obviously, it was really hard on my wife. Annabelle Marquise writes, hey, John, in a previous show, you talked about celeb crushes. If I can throw my hat in, I would say Ming-Na Wen, since Street Fighter the movie. Ming-Na Wen is one... Hell, she's one of the only things, her and Coulson are the only things I like about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think she's fantastic. So, hey, good choice, man. I'm with you. Good choice. Matthew Leach writes, thoughts on the Kings trailer with Halle Berry and Daniel Craig on the LA riots in 1992. I have not seen it. So I didn't realize it was out already, so I haven't seen it. So I can't comment on that just yet. Cameron W. writes, think we'll ever get a Clue remake? Yes, I do. Clue, the game, has been enjoying a resurgence of popularity lately. I already told you guys before, like Ann and Kaori bought like 8 different versions of the game. So yes, I do believe at some point we will get another rendition of a Clue movie. I think it'll happen. I really do. Old Flicks Joe writes, hey, John, like you for my pick. Oh, like you. Hey, John, like for you to pick my Sunday retro flick night. Okay. The lineup is Escape from New York, Rocky IV, Total Recall, or Speed, Open Mic for Life. I'm going to go Rocky IV on that one. I like all the movies listed for different reasons, but Rocky IV seems like a good Sunday night retro flick kind of night. I must break you. Go Rocky IV. That's my pick for this one. Thanks for asking. Film Fan Rant writes, DC reboot, shows previous montage, then have Jake Gyllenhaal wake up as Bruce Wayne. It was all a dream. Alfred, nightmare, Bruce. Yes, dream. I was Ben Affleck. That's one way you could do it. If you want to do it with a wink and a smile. I don't think they'll do it in a humorous way, of course. And remember, we don't know that Jake Gyllenhaal is going to get the role. All we knew is at one point Matt Reeves really liked him for Batman. I'm not even 100% sure Matt Reeves is going to do Batman, to be honest with you. Don't start running stories. Report says Matt Reeves not doing Batman. No. I'm simply saying I'm starting to have my doubts whether he's even going to do it. I would put my money on yes, but it's a weird state of affairs, man. Film Fan Rant. It is a weird state of affairs right now. Jason Robinson writes, I think Jamie Foxx is a comparable talent to Jackman when it comes to versatility. Singing, acting, stand-up, not a chance. No chance in hell. I mean, it's all subjective. If he strikes you that way, fantastic. If you see me review any of this, you know I love Jamie Foxx. I'm a Jamie Foxx fan, but no. In my opinion, at any rate, and my opinion is no more or less valid than yours, but in my opinion, not a chance in hell. He's not in the same league. Just not in the same league. Sam Fisher writes, I'm on season 3, so I got past it. Oh, talking about Spartacus stuff. Well, good for you. I'm glad you're able to get past it. Old Flicks Joe writes, have you checked out any episodes of Happy yet? Nope, still hasn't. There's still, like I said, a huge list of things I need to do. I still have that director buddy of mine keeps telling me I got to watch it, so I will get around to it at some point. Jack Tatum writes, hey, John, happy birthday. Thank you so much, Jack. And I hope you had a great time in Vegas. I did, as a matter of fact. I have always wondered how one gets into an early screening of a movie, like on a Monday or something before the movie comes out. Well, there's a couple different ways. Once there's press screenings, you can't get into those. You have to be invited to those. But there are also like movie screening companies that kind of sponsor early reaction stuff. But I don't know if they're in every city. So yeah, I just don't know. The best way is to have a friend who is on a press list and get invited as their +1. That's really the only way. See, everybody who tries to start these blogs and YouTube channels always asks, well, how do I get invited to these things? You can't, there's no magic button you press or an application you fill out. There's nothing like that. You just have to get big enough that the studios take notice of you. You fire off an email to the press person. to the PR people and say, hey, let me be on your radar. And then maybe once you're big enough, they will want to start inviting you to those things. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the only way to do it. Han Solo writes, thoughts on Catch Me If You Can. Oh, I love Catch Me If You Can. One of Spielberg's better ones. And really one of the films that for me really cemented how much I enjoy Leonardo DiCaprio as an actor. And the fact that it's a true story is the part that really boggles my mind. I mean, it's so crazy. It's absolutely believable. And seeing a film with two of the best of two different generations, Tom Hanks, Leo DiCaprio, being directed by Steven Spielberg, it's one you got to watch. If you're a film fan, Catch Me If You Can is one you got to have on your repertoire. So add that to your list. Just go add Catch Me If You Can to your list of ones you got to watch. And the final question of the day, which is great because I think my voice is about to go, comes to us from Act Naturally Productions, who writes, love the show. Thank you so much. But why do you sometimes repeat your sentences? You sometimes repeat a sentence, but with more passion. Nothing wrong with it. Just wondering if you do it on purpose. I absolutely do it on purpose. And here's why. And I've been telling people this for years, is I tried for a period of time back in the AMC days, because I utilize a communication technique of repetition. Repetition for important points. And I sometimes, even to this day, I get some people complain to me about it, but I know what works. And there was a period of time in the earlier AMC days, because I was doing this long into the movie blog days when I did the audio edition, my award-winning podcast at the time, all that kind of stuff. But I tried for a period of time not doing it for a while on AMC. And what I discovered was the amount of people who missed my point entirely skyrocketed. Like I would be doing a sentence, and let's just for argument's say, I'm saying something, saying something, saying something. The circle on this cup is red, saying something, saying something, saying something. The ice in this glass is cold, saying something, saying something. No repetition, just go through it, right? It literally, without hyperbole, without exaggeration, at least 400% went up the amount of people who would say, John, how come you don't realize the circle on that thing is red? At least 400% increase in the types of comments of, John, I can't, I don't understand. The ice in that cup is cold. I said the circle on the glass was red. I said the ice in the glass was cold. And seriously, the amount, at least minimum 400% increase in those types of comments. People completely missing my points, blah, blah, blah. And it's a skill I learned in a communication class in college, was that important points, repeat them. Repeat them. And if they're really important, repeat them again. And then I found when I went back to that at AMC, and I went back to that communication style of repetition of important points, I found that those comments, vroom, went way down again. People would still complain about something, but they would not complain, John, how come you don't realize this? Oh, you did say this. That's right. I remember you did say the circle on that thing was red. And I have just found that the amount of, look, communication is irrelevant if people don't walk away having comprehended what you're saying. They don't need to agree with you or disagree with you, but as long as they comprehend what it is you're saying. And what I have found in the years I've done this is that when I don't utilize repetition, people miss my points, misquote me, complain to me in comments about things they shouldn't be complaining to me about because I actually said what they're saying I should have said if they paid attention, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But especially in the YouTube era, when attention spans are so short and so small, repetition is important. Now, you may disagree with that, and that's fine. That's cool if you do. But as somebody who has done this for going into my 15th year, it'll be 15 years in June since I first launched the movie blog in 2003. Is when I launched the movie blog, and that was the beginning of my film punditry career. In the 15 years I have done this, my experience has been when I don't communicate that way, people completely miss the point of what I'm saying many times more than when I do utilize that form of communication. So, and there it is. I just utilize that form of communication right there. Anyway, so that's why I do it. That's why I choose it as my communication style. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of Open Mic. Thanks for joining me. Good to be back doing the show again. Don't forget, Open Mic every day now, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. But John, what happened to Star Wars Talk Tuesdays? Star Wars Talk Tuesdays is being changed to Star Wars Talk, and that's going to air on Sundays. Monday through Friday is going to be Open Mic at 3 p.m. Of course, the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with all the movie news and talking about the big issues in the world of movies. Make sure you guys come back and join me then. And that will do for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.